Hey, I'm Duke on Twitch. If you want to support the channel and greensunzenith.com, you can find my Patreon, merch store, and singles store where you can buy singles through TCG Player or Card Hoarder in the video description. If you want to get in contact, you can also find all that info in the description below for things like donation deck lists or just wanting to reach out. Alright, let's get right into it.
Yo, hey team, welcome back to Dukes on Twitch. Back today with a take on BANT Maverick featuring Nadu. Very similar to the list we played, I believe for a 3-2 last week or the week before. The only change we made was Hedge Maze over the blue-white Surveil land and a little bit more Mavericky. I did want a ton of creatures in this list. And obviously ones that provide value, so Renegade Rallier on top of Excavator could be a little bit too much, but we'll see how it goes. I've been really liking Scavenging Ooze. We're playing a Dismember in the main deck as just another way to have interaction against opposing creatures. Dismember hits a lot. It doesn't hit something like a 6/6 Murktide, but hopefully against some of the smaller creature decks will come up as a worthy hit. I'm still not too sure on how much I want to dive into Nadu with this list. I actually took out the Field of the Dead. I'm not running an Oracle. I'm not trying to win with it. I think the value itself is just good enough, so pretty happy to see how that goes. I also added Shadow Spear to the main deck as another target for both Saga and also Stoneforge, so pretty happy to see how that works out. Only running the one Saga. This isn't really a Saga deck, but it's just a really nice tutor to have for things like Knight, and then obviously you can get it back with Ramunap and Renegade Rallier. The sideboard is very heavy towards combo, with just some light splashes for removal in Path, Celestial Purge, which I think is pretty well positioned, especially answering really anything out of Mono Black or Blue Black, Frog, Troll, Grief, Dorothy Voidwalker, Atraxa, Archon. There's a lot, so yeah, hopefully Purge comes up as some pretty cool tech. Yeah, see how this goes. I think Nadu fits really well in a Green Suns deck. Like a BANT Green Suns Nadu deck would be sweet. So I kind of feel like Maverick's a nice little spot for it. But potentially it's a case of a card you should just go full combo on, but I've been really enjoying just the advantage you get from the card itself. I'll quickly show as well. Harry Hackett recently did really well. Came 15th in the Legacy Challenge with a really cool take. So one big difference is playing the Lightning Greaves over something like Shuko. Obviously Greaves just that little bit better, or usually a lot better when you don't have the Nadu online. And then also running Cauldron, which I do like because you are running obviously 3 Stoneforges and 3 Mums. So you do have those sort of turn 1 Mum, turn 2 Stoneforge, get Cauldron, make them have 2 removal spells or potentially go faster than you. Otherwise, Cauldron's a really nice threat. I think it was against Mark when I had my last co-stream with potentially XJ on D&T, and the Cauldron, over, I'm going to say 9 turns, took a lot of creatures down, just chomping and chomping and chomping, because I don't think Mark was running, as you typically don't, Exile, Artifact, or Enchantment Hate in the main board, so like Prismatic Ending or Haywire Might at the time. But it was cool to see. A little bit of a shame to see the Pro Tour top 8. A lot of Nadu. I did like some of the lines that were brought up, like obviously Sam Black? No, that's wrong. Sam Pardee, very prolific Court of Courting player. And there was a sweet turn where they were a mana short, and so they evoked a Grief. And with the trigger on the stack, evoked Endurance. And with the evoke trigger on the stack, they tapped the Endurance for the extra mana they needed. So that was really cool. Hey TJ Fate, very well, thank you. Hope you're doing well. It's actually raining here, so really enjoying that. Usually leagues come a little bit quicker. Played a pretty sweet deck yesterday. This was a deck based around Ajani, which I think is a really sweet card, especially in terms of value. We did have a few cool turns where you get the turn 1 mana dork into turn 2 Ajani, and then you have the mana for Cabal Therapy, and then you can flash it back, sacrificing the token that Ajani makes, which then flips the Ajani straight away for a turn 2 Walker, which is pretty cool. Also just obviously turn 1 Cabal if you wanted to turn 2 Ajani flashback. Works. Broadside Bombardier is pretty cool as a way to sacrifice the token as well. Okay, so we don't have green mana, but we do have the once, and this hand is pretty sweet if we hit the green, so I'm pretty happy to keep this. A little bit risky, but it's kind of how I feel what one should be doing here in terms of what role it should be playing. Okay, we don't hit, but we do hit a mum, which is a turn 1 play, so I don't mind that. I think that's a really good showing of sometimes how the onces don't always line up how you might want them. Yeah, it has cooled everything down really nicely. Aired everything out as well. Okay. Happy to play the Lavaspur and just hold up Dismember. Hey Sam, welcome. Hope you're well. They shuffled straight away, which is great for us. Okay, they're also going to be some sort of most likely BANT Shuko deck. Okay, that's a really nice pickup. I don't mind just going for Trop into Noble. Into equip Noble. And probably swing. Holding up Dismember. Not holding it up against Daze, but I don't think they're going to be a Daze deck. That's a very interesting. I'm not too sure. Not as much as Modern, I will say. But still, I think Nadu's on a correct power level. Okay, that was pretty lucky there. So they got a Teferi and a Cauldra. Okay, so now we can try ourselves. Go for Nadu. Ooh, okay. Equip. Nice. Equip here. Nice. I will fetch. The question here is, do I want to go for Dryad Arbor? Equip the boots. Yeah, I think Dryad Arbor is pretty sweet here, because then we can go tap, equip, and then it pays for itself. Go back to the Nadu. And then attack for 5. What was that, like 5 cards? I mean, Scryb Ranger next turn changes things. I did have Safekeeper in the deck, but I took it out because I obviously didn't want to go kind of all the way. Wow. I don't want to 5 it because what if we draw Karakas? That'd be pretty sweet. Wow. Wow. Yo. 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 There it is. Damn. Crazy. Crazy. So, someone please clip that. That is very cool. Okay, well, we're going to be up a... I like the Veils in this matchup. That's hilarious. I'm not a big fan of the... Teeg's definitely pretty interesting. I can see Ramunap coming out, seeing they're on a lot of basics. Honestly, not too much. Like, Vexing Bauble potentially turns off Force, but we have Teeg, which also covers for sweepers. It could honestly be like a Wasteland. I don't mind this. Soul Guide's interesting if they have like Uros and stuff, but pretty happy just running it back with the 2 Veils. Pretty reactive hand, but I don't mind it. Especially if they're a Delighted Halfling deck, it's nice to have the removal for that early on. Cool. It's nice in this case to not even have to worry about days. That's pretty cool. Once first. Okay. I kind of like the Wasteland. Hey Lauren, welcome. Because we get to go Dismember and also Wasteland. A little bit rough if they are a Loam deck, but I think that's fine. I also don't mind just Wasteland the Savannah. But our mana is also pretty awkward, so potentially I want the Hierarch. Swords this turn. Next turn play Hierarch, have a mana with the Cradle. It's not really great. Could also take the fetch land. I actually don't mind the fetch land. That also gives us access to green through Maze. But the Wasteland is just so good as well, especially if we are going after their mana. This tapping for mana typically only comes up on turn 2 or turn 3. Okay. No brainstorm from them. There's the force pitching a Nadu. Okay. They have 3 cards left. Urza is not too bad here. I mean, look at the mana here. Do they have a land to put in? That's big as well. They don't. Hey Shade, welcome. Okay. I think here I actually like Green Suns for Dryad Arbor, and then use the Cradle for Dismember. Just to keep building out that mana. Nice. Ooh, okay. All right. I think here we just want to once. Stoneforge is kind of cool. But so is a mana, and then we can once again. I like that a lot. I'm happy to leave them with the Nomads for now. Opponent saying the Wasteland was very good. Happy to take this. Really want to play this once. Okay. A 2-drop would be great. Mum's not too bad either. Okay. I think MH3 has affected Legacy a lot slower than it's affected Modern, but I think that's also because there's been a Pro Tour with Modern as the main format, so there's been a lot more put into the deck. One second. Okay. Play the Shadow Spear. Maybe there's a world where they actually are something like Cephalid and I should be worried. Nice Fang. Ooh, okay. Chose to not draw. Prismatic, that's fine. Okay. Okay. Liberator is pretty sweet here. I think we'll play the Liberator. To touch if you control at least 3 others, and they could have 3 here. 1, 2, okay. So we do want to take them off mana here. Happy to attack with the Dryad Arbor. And then if they block, I'm probably just going to sack it to the night. Yeah. Take them off this trop. And then hold up this sword. And also the Liberator if needed. Interesting, maybe a Green Suns for 2 or a Prismatic Ending. Okay, that's fair. Wow, they're attacking. That's interesting. I guess because we're at a lower life total, but I do have the Shadow Spear now that I can attack with. I'm just going to hold the sword. That is worth playing. 2 to equip. And again, hold up that sword. Okay. It's pretty interesting. So now the Outland Liberator flips, but we don't have a great way to deal with the Ice Fang. I don't really want to swords it. I wonder if this is actually a situation where I should just equip the Hierarch up, keep the Trap Breaker around. I don't mind that. See if they want to trade the Ice Fang with the Noble. Should have also equipped the Shuko there, but hopefully it doesn't matter. Okay. Oh, maybe this means they don't have another island in the deck, or they've just forgotten about Uro. I'm going to say the latter. Ooh, Green Suns. Okay. We can currently Green Suns for 2, which is Scavenging Ooze. I think I'm happy to equip and swing first. Ice Fang. This is a pretty good reason to Green Suns first with Cradle in play. Because Karakas obviously keeps the Uro at bay, but it's not a great answer to it. Definitely a tricky spot. think we do just leave it, unfortunately. I do want to do something with my turn, so I think we still probably just Green Suns for a Noble. That also gives us access to green mana, sorry, blue mana, which is quite nice. Okay, now they have the blue. Interesting, they went for holding up Ice Fang, then casting Uro. Maybe thinking the Ice Fang might draw out a removal spell. They have 2 cards in hand. Okay, I'm going to start off with swords. Play the maze. Teeg can go into the yard. Equip up and swing in. This is a situation where Green Suns off the top would be really good, and Nadu would just change the game very quickly, honestly for both players, especially with the Nomads in core in play. Chose to not shuffle, that's pretty scary. Like, yeah, I think we'll see what they have, but I think I will think about some sort of probably Soul Guide Lantern. Okay, I'm actually going to say I can take out the Teeg. I can bring in the Soul Guide. I could... I think that's it. Like, the parts are definitely interesting. But I'm pretty happy where we're at. Okay, happy to keep this. It's pretty sweet. We don't have the forest for Scryb Ranger, but I think that's fine. Interesting, Island Pass. Did not expect that. pretty happy to attack here, hold up Scryb Ranger. Right. Opponent might want a swords here potentially. Okay. At least we get value here with the Saga. That's cool. I'm just going to pass here with Swords open and also Saga. Then we have Shuko next turn alongside Green Suns. No green for them yet. I was a little bit scared of this. Okay, float one. Shuko. Two. I think we just have to go for Outland Liberator here. Nice. I mean, if they're not going to do anything, then the Liberator's going to flip and get that back to basics without even sacrificing the Liberator, which is pretty cool. Okay. I mean, if we draw a fetch land here, I can just go for a basic. Oh god, draw the basic. That's pretty funny. Back to basics, draw two basics. Wow, they got rid of their trop for that. It's pretty huge. It's crazy how games of Magic can change sometimes. Like, nothing is said and done, but I feel like this Back to Basics has done more for me in a positive way than for my opponent. And like, let's be honest, we drew the two basics off the top. Swords is fine. I did watch the Pro Tour. The top 8 especially was very quick, I will say. A little too quick for my liking, but I don't mind drawing a card here. Okay. It was great for bird watching, very nice. Stoneforge is fine. Hey Past, welcome. Hope you're well, hope you had a nice weekend. Ooh, they get a Shuko. Could mean they just have Kaldra in hand, so... I think at this stage I'm happy to Dismember, just because Swords is a little bit better against Uro specifically. Ooze is pretty sweet. Weekend was really good, very eventful, but in a really nice way. Interesting. I think in this case I will get rid of it. And then we can potentially Renegade Rallier it back. I will hit it. I think it's actually really interesting. Is there a world where I just allow them to have the back to basics? They're on 10. They've already used 2 swords, 1 prismatic, 3 swords. If they have Uro, we have Ooze, swords and knight. But if we leave it, I don't believe we have another way to deal with back to basics. It's not even the deck. That's not even the deck. That's the deck. Yeah. I think we just allow this, which is really weird. I'm happy to see where this goes, but I have a feeling that I want to allow it. We have time. What do you think, chat? Deal with the back to basics or just let them have it? They're obviously getting rid of it because they have the Shuko. I think we do. I think we do. Yeah, the Rallier buyback as well is really nice. It's also a nice 2-for-1, which doesn't always come up. I also wanted to hold up swords there instead of Ooze, and I think that's okay. Endurance. Wow. I mean, I also have like Green Suns for Collector Oof. I think it's attack for 3, Green Suns for Oof, and hold up swords. Fluster. Well, they have 1 card left. Okay. I assume this will be Hedge, or like a Survey Land. Halfling in the bin. That makes me think they don't have Nadu, or else they would have kept an extra creature, but they only have 1 green source. Ah. There's a second green source. Interesting, they have one card. We draw a green source here. Nadu, ooh. That's pretty interesting. Why not? I feel like it's a Ice Fang, which we do have the swords for. Before they draw, I will hit it. And then I think instead of putting them down, I'll just play the Nadu here. But it's tricky. Having like 2 threats. Yeah, there's the field. Tough. Yeah, maybe don't attack, play Nadu, hold up sword. Sort of different ways. It's tough to not attack, as that's our only way to real victory. But it does also show the real power of like a dedicated Nadu deck with things like field and nomads, counter magic. Very cool. But yeah, I think we saw there the real difference between like a dedicated Nadu deck and then a deck that's just kind of splashing it for the value. You do have to take those on the chin. Right, Kamal. Okay. Happy to keep this with double Noble once and Canopy. Interesting, they're a 1 stack. Okay. Most likely another Nadu deck, which is going to be a little bit tough. As again, this is a pretty dedicated version. I guess we just take the Nadu and try to go for it quicker. Seeing that we have the Shuko. I guess in this case, we just want a Green Suns for Gaddock Teeg to turn off Natural Order. To the people in chat asking about Nadu and Legacy, we have played against now 2 Nadu decks in a row, playing a Nadu deck ourselves, so maybe it's a little bit more prevalent than I first thought. I like the parts. I like taking out the Liberator. And probably an Endurance. That's really it. Quick think. Yeah. I guess we could have Liberator in case they run their own. Shuko. Probably go down on a Thalia or 2. Maybe this. Mana here is a little bit rough. A lot of mana, but no. Okay. Keep this bottom Tundra and fetch. Just go for turn 2 Nadu. Path also really tough in this sort of matchup where you don't want to be pathing their early creatures, but typically giving them a land is better than them having a creature on board. I don't mind holding the Wasteland. Green Suns for 1. Okay. Nice. That's pretty cool. Let's start with attacking. Wasteland the Dryad Arbor, play the Ramunap. This could get out of hand. Bristly Bill, really cool. A great way to make your creatures bigger, especially with fetch lands. But they should probably fetch now, unless they don't have another basic, but I assume they do. Just because we can path or remove Bristly in response to the fetch. Kind of have a free attack, but if they don't want to expose this, then I can see why. Interesting. I think I'm going to start with drawing a card. Okay. Now I'll play... This is interesting. I could hold up double white, which I don't mind. Go after their mana quite aggressively. And if they go for a basic here, that's one less they can get off the path, which might just make the path even better. I feel like if they had a basic, they would have gone a little bit for it last turn. At least here, at the end of their draw step, we can set a stop, just in case they draw into the other forest if they have another forest. Go after that mana. This does allow them to use something like Once Upon a Time, but they don't have it. Okay. So they're obviously going for green mana last turn. That's true. They did surveil, so yeah, maybe that actually is correct. Okay, now we need some good draws. Mainly Shuko. Maybe Stoneforge Mystic into Shuko. Stoneforge would be sweet. Take the draw. Okay. Hit the green. Play the mum. Attack with Nadu. With Exalted. But yeah, sadly I don't think enough. A little bit too slow on our part. Really needed like a pretty good 7 with a little bit of removal and a good solid plan. And although we have been disrupting, we haven't been pressuring as much as I'd like to. Yeah. Probably a Traxxer. Greater Hoof. Okay. Interesting. Yeah. Like we can block this. And we take lethal. Tough. Yeah, definitely being shown up by what I would call the tier Nadu decks. In kind of like a BANT version, and then obviously the Elves version. That works really well. With its with a lot of the deck, like Nadu just fits really nicely into it. Whereas Mav, as you can see with us, like there aren't that many things that allow you to go off. Other than like Mother of Runes, Scryb Ranger. That might actually be it. Stoneforge kind of. But obviously you need Shuko for that or some sort of equipment. Alright. Let's get on the, okay. No. Yes. Okay. Happy to keep this. Probably just put back the Hedge Maze. And then I will look with the once right now. See if we find a Mana Dork. No. But we do find a Mum, which is pretty interesting. Go for Savannah. Okay. We do have Wasteland here, which is pretty inviting. They did shuffle. Which obviously a Mana Dork here would be fantastic just to keep the mana flowing. Shuko is not too bad either. There is a world though. I think the shuffle is just too good. But there is a world where the Wasteland's better for us as an untapped source to get something like the Ooze down. Don't do it. Okay. That I'm not too scared of. I thought it was going to be a bolt for a second. That would have been really really tough. Hey Touch. Welcome. But yeah, you can see here where we did disrupt them a little bit, but at the same time now they have a 3/3 DRC and we kind of stuck on one land. Yeah. I think that's just a little bit too easy to give away. I obviously like the Paths and the Purge for this matchup. I don't mind the Soul Guide. Teeg Liberator can come out. I still like the Nadus. I don't mind taking out the Ramunap. Vexing Bauble's also quite nice. It's only off Force and Days potentially. I don't mind trying that out. It's probably Shuko actually. Like, we're not really going in for that sort of... Like, Nadu in this matchup for me is just for value and being a 3/4 flyer. Mana here is pretty tight, so pretty happy to mull this. Really want to have a removal source as well. I'll keep this. Probably bottom the Mum. Let's go turn 1 Bauble. Turns off their Baubles if they're playing them. I assume not if they're playing Frogs. But at least we do have removal. So drawing into a fetch land would be perfect. Nice. Happy to see if they fetch end step potentially for a Surveil land. They don't. Okay. This I really don't mind because it does allow us just to most likely untap, hopefully play a land past turn. Scryb's kind of cool. Untap this, return this. Play this. There's a world where I should have just held it up to see if the Delver doesn't flip. But I don't mind. Okay. Wonder if they just put a 1 on top. I wonder what 3s they have outside of Force Negation. Kind of a free attack, which is nice. Some lists do run Burrow, that's very true. See if they put a 3-drop down or a 1-drop to try to protect the Delver. Nice. Bolt's fine. Frog's fine. The land here is pretty brutal, or pretty huge. It's not a land, but that is Green Suns for 2, which is a little bit different to 1, which is nice because it might be less things that Counterbalance hits this with. Go for Noble. No great attacks just yet either, so we'll just keep this. They can attack with the Frog here if they want. They have 3 cards in hand. And we're just going to take it. Okay. Happy to see. Take them off the Volk. And probably swords and upkeep. I guess worst case they have Rainstorm. So we allow them to draw and then try to swords. Volk on top. Nice. These basics are putting in so much work. As my opponent plays another. Okay, this is fine as we still know about Volk on top. Oh no, that was an upkeep, wasn't it? No, it wasn't. It was draw step. I guess I can check his Shadow Spear. I believe it's Volk still. Alright, pass back. Alright, they have 2 cards. They do have just hardcast force, so I don't mind equip and swing. Interesting, maybe block and bolt. I should have played the land, but I didn't. There is a world where they wasteland it because we haven't gone for a basic, and then wasteland the land we get. Alright. Interesting. I'm happy to fetch here. Probably get the Tundra as it's the card we care about the least. And then force check. Unholy Heat. It is force. Okay. At least we know the top card is Unholy Heat. See if they want to go after Green Suns here. Volk on top. They do have the Misty though. I think at this point it's probably worth playing the Cradle and potentially cashing in the Bauble. Because I think Daze isn't really an issue now. Okay. They'll fetch end step. I mean, Murktide's still back online now. Just a land. Alright. I think it's just Green Suns for the last Noble. I think there's one left. Quick look. 1 Noble, 2 Noble. Yes. Alright. There's Murktide. Now it's tricky because there's so many good 1-drops left in the deck that we just have to, you know, use the swords. We can actually use this to see what's on top. Psychic Frog. Ah, but now they can fetch, potentially. Oh, wow, okay. They're going to keep the frog. Interesting, as currently with no cards in hand, the Shadow Spear on the Noble beats it. Yeah, discard a card. Ah, they drew a card though. Frog's pretty good. They get to look. It was an 8-2, so they're going to fetch and reveal. Counterbalance. Unfortunately, we don't have a great, we've already gone through 2 swords, a path, 3 swords. We did bring in Purge. We can try. I think it's just Nadu here, but we'll see. Hey, welcome, Moss. Anytime. Force. I think that's going to do it, sadly. Tough. Rough. You're welcome, Moses. Hope you're doing well. Hopefully your week gets better, as they usually do. All right. Here we go. Hey Geodude, welcome. Let's go with it. Turn 1, Green Suns for Dryad Arbor. Turn 2, Knight potentially. Okay. Hey Granham, thank you very much. Hope you're doing well. Knight. The Misty do. Maverick got its name from Luis, who made the deck, and his username at the time on MTGO was Maverick with an @ sign for the A. So players called it Maverick. Some also suggest that it's named Maverick because it's kind of left field, which is what a Maverick style person typically does. Which is kind of cool. White of the Reliquary looks really cool. Really big fan of it. Interesting. Okay. I think he was passing. Hopefully this isn't show and tell. Hey, Robert, your mother, welcome. All right. Also pretty happy to get a fetch land here. And then turn the fetch into the Surveil land. Just don't hit Shuko. Graveyard. All right. Let's see what we can do. Okay. Happy to attack for 8 here. High tide. All right. I don't think endurance plays a role here. Maybe they're on Mystic Sanctuary, but that's really it. mission briefing would be very cool. There it is. Maybe. Just maybe. Oh, snap. Oh, it actually was snap. Okay. 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 Damn. Another time spiral. I'm gonna say that's it. I'm gonna say that's it. Deafening Silence seems great. Vexing Bauble. Maybe Force. Veils. Don't think Surgical. Pretty happy to take out. Definitely Dismember. Definitely Ramunap. Probably A Knight. Shadow Spear. Ooze. Ooze could play a part. I don't mind taking out Stoneforge. They could be running back to basics, which would be pretty rough. But we do have ways to play around that. Really don't want these. I don't mind Soul Guide. I don't mind Haywire. And there we go. Surgicals. But Deafening Silence into Thalia is what we're really looking for. Ways to slow down the game to then win the mid game. This doesn't really do either of those things. Pretty happy to go to 5. I think this sort of matchup is definitely about card quality, not card quantity. Okay. Happy to bottom the Wasteland and probably the Endurance here. We have like Deafening Silence into Gaddock Teeg down the line. I also don't mind turn 1 acceleration. This can get both basics, so I'm gonna hold that off. They could definitely play Harbinger of the Tides. Be pretty sweet for us. I feel like here I'm happy to go for Night, and then the following turn get that Deafening Silence. Mum changes things a little bit. Start with Silence. So Force. Go and get the Plains. Play the Mum. Attack for 1. It's a pretty sweet draw. Although I would assume that they are a deck with Dress Down. If they force it, we also have Renegade Rallier to get it back, which is nice. And I think just because of like Back to Basics and Harbinger, I'm not going to attack with the Dryad Arbor here. I'm just going to hold it back. Well, I got rid of another one. Yeah. Two Forces, 2 Mind's Desires. And hey, big thank you to you, all of you, for watching. I really appreciate it. Even on the nights where it doesn't work out. But I think also there's a lot of learnings from tonight that I'll take away. And it's also cool to play against decks like High Tide. Medallion. Okay. Thanks, Granham. That's really nice. Okay, that's a great card. Honestly, happy to attack with both here. Interesting. Maybe Chains? Chain of Vapor? Echoing Truth? 2 or less. Sorcery. Chain of Vapor, I believe, is sorcery? They get a Ponder. Interesting. I wonder if they just get a Sanctuary here and put Ponder on top. So it's pretty good to have a cantrip. They might also be thinking about Wasteland, but I think with this, the Medallion on the field, you probably don't mind. But they're actually just going to build out their mana. Okay. Misty's pretty sweet. Means we can get a basic and attack with Dryad Arbor. Yeah, this is High Tide Storm. It was playing Mind's Desire in game 1. I'll now also put a stop on my turn in my draw step because end of draw, we'll want to see what we draw into, and then potentially use the night to go and get Urza's Saga, get the first counter, and then go to our main phase, get a second counter to speed up the Saga by a full turn. So we draw into... Yep, so I'm pretty happy just to sack this. Could also draw a random card, but I kind of like that Saga moves towards something like Haywire Might. The Windswept also has a role in getting Hedge Maze, which gives us a little bit more control over what we draw into. That's pretty cool. Snap your own Spellseeker. What's this going to be? Ooh, okay. Interesting. Non-creature card. Teferi's Realm? Okay. That's going to be okay because we're just going to get there with creatures, right? At the beginning of each player's upkeep, very cool card as well. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player chooses artifact, creature, land, or non-aura enchantment. All non-token permanents of that type phase out. Spellseeker. Urkels. But if they're at 8, they don't have another turn here because the knight is just going to be lethal with the mum potentially. Especially if we go and get... So I think the play is here. Haywire Might to get rid of the medallion to kind of force potentially them to bounce. We draw. That's pretty sweet. So what if they have a 1 mana removal spell or a bounce spell? Hey, thanks, Brad. Too kind. What if we get boots? Equip boots. 4, 7. That's pretty interesting. I don't mind trying boots. Haywire Might's also pretty interesting, especially with the medallion play. Is my protection enough? So my thought is if we want to give protection to attack through the Spellseeker, they then bounce in response. So potentially I just want to get the boots and go wide, which would be 4, 7, 8. think it might just be the boots. Oh no, I know what it is. It's boots equip to give the ward. See if they want to respond, and if they do, then we can get pro. So unless it's a split second effect here, or exactly dress down. So I think this kind of plays around the ability to be able to give protection, which is nice. And I think that if it is dressed down that they have, we sacrifice the Hedge Maze for Cradle, and then play the Liberator with the Cradle mana, and probably equip the boots. Nice. Very cool. I do want to bring in these, looking at what we just saw. I think I'm pretty happy to take out the surgicals. I think it's just like not really where I want to be. Like if they're casting a High Tide, it's probably the turn they're going off, and surgicaling High Tide probably doesn't do a whole lot. Maybe. Like Teeg is obviously great. Endurance could just be a one of. Mums are nice at protection. Probably the Shuko, to be fair. We're not really looking to Nadu that much. Hey HG, very cool to see you. This is a tricky one, because we have like turn 1 protection, Green Sun's fatigue, but not a whole lot otherwise. We do have once to potentially find Thalia or Teeg, but one counterspell on either of these and I feel a little bit weak. I don't mind trying it. It's pretty hard to not put back a 7, especially when the Canopy could just be a redraw. The Wasteland might be online if they have an awkward start with like a Mystic Sanctuary, but I don't think there's many 7s that they would keep with Sanctuary as the opening land. Hey, nice HG. Hopefully you do recover soon. I actually had physio today for my back, so I know the feels, but on a very small situation. I wonder if I actually like the Saga here, but I probably won't get much value out of it. I don't mind the Noble, as it just speeds things up a bit. Let's take the draw step off. I'm just going to play hard here into back to basics, etc. That's really cool. So we get to go Scryb Ranger, untap this, return this, and then here I'm actually happy to play double mum. Then we have Green Sun's next turn fatigue with protection. Best draw off the top is definitely Cradle. It'll allow us to Green Sun's Fatigue, have it forced, and then Green Sun's again. Opponent potentially counting, which is always pretty scary. Interesting, they didn't brainstorm on their turn, so maybe they drew the brainstorm for turn. Okay. 5 cards. Well, that's pretty interesting as well. And let's see if we can Nadu. Yeah, they kind of have to force that. Which is quite good for us because it eats a force, which means next turn we can Teeg. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mana. Force of Vigor off the top would be sweet. Because Force of Vigor beats Dress Down. Because next time we untap a Green Sun's Fatigue, end step they Dress Down. Ooh, okay. So at the beginning of my upkeep, I choose Artifact, Creature, Land, or non-aura enchantments. All non-token permanents of that type phase out. Okay, so I just choose Artifact. If I choose Artifact, all non-token permanents of Artifact phase out. Cool. That's how it works, right? I'm not missing something? I think so. We shall see. All right. 1, 2. Untap this. Return this. They choose. Interesting. In that case... We attack with all because we can untap a moment instant speed with the Scryb Ranger. And then we do just take this out. We just have to. We do have end step draw a card. But I think we just have the answers here. Because if we end step draw a card, we lose this. We play this for turn, and then we have 1, 2, 3 mana, which is enough for Green Suns. So even if we drew Deafening Silence, we wouldn't be able to play it alongside Green Suns for 2. So I think it's better just to leave the canopy and potentially naturally draw a card. Alright. Another medallion's pretty sweet. They have 2 cards left as well. Go for that Teeg. I'm not sure. I feel like Dress Down's pretty good because it also draws a card, which is nice when you're trying to get a bunch of spells into hand. Also being a little bit cheaper, like costing just the 1 with Sapphire Medallion's pretty sweet. Well, that's free. I can't Green Suns here because of the Teeg, but that's fine. Untap this, return this, play this, play Ooze. Stops any real shenanigans. Attack for 4. I also at this stage don't mind just Wasteland on the Tarn if they brainstorm, just to stop the ability to shuffle. It doesn't say what my opponent is, but I feel like I should. Ooh, Wipe Away. That's pretty sweet. Okay. Nothing we can do there. They have 2 cards left. Can they combo with just 2 cards? So next time we do have lethal because we have 2 with Exalted, 2 with the Ooze, that's 4, 2 creatures in the bin, that's 6. And the way to get the 7th is we can Green Suns for Dryad Arbor and Wasteland it and then eat it. So they're going to try to get back the Wipe Away. We're going to eat said Wipe Away. Ah. Well, I did say to them that I have lethal, but I'm happy to concede, but there we are. Well, we got there. So, That's always tough though. I feel like at that stage, unless my opponent is also 0-3, it's worth just saying, hey, I have lethal, but have the win. But yeah, high tide a little bit tricky. Like obviously choke in the sideboard would be great. Being on BANT, I don't want to play choke because I myself are playing islands. But choke pretty sweet. But also, it's a little bit harder with mono blue and high tide decks because a lot of their hate is going to be bounce, which hits creature, artifact, enchantment. The main three ways you can kind of build out your hate for different storm decks. So things like Dress Down don't hit your Deafening Silences or your High Noons. You could also play like instant speed effects like Veil of Summer, which helps a lot because I think I believe High Tide still wins through Brain Freeze, but I could be wrong with Mind's Desire. I don't believe they splash any colors for things like Grape Shot or Tendrils. Unless Tendrils is just free with Mind's Desire, so you can. That's an interesting one. Or Blue Sun Zenith, very nice. Alright, Dean. Here we go. Let's try to have a really nice, clean game. I'm okay to keep this. 3 mana, which is great. Wasteland is a spell land. Once to potentially find some early creatures. Removal and Dismember. And they're a fan, that's always cool. We'll keep this. Please be a Volk. I wouldn't mind seeing a Volk with this hand. Although Dismember around days is a little bit tricky. Grief. Okay. You know what? You can have it. I would assume if they have Reanimate here, they take the once to stop any sort of endurance and then take the Dismember when it comes back. They got rid of an Entomb. I'm not sure how many Entombs this deck typically plays. If that is just their Entomb gone, or if they play multiple Entombs. Okay. I kind of like that we just get to go upkeep Wasteland here, just in case they're playing Stifle. Cycle Troll. Rescaminator usually plays 4. Wow, okay. Now they do know about the Dismember as well. Chose to not use Ponder's ability. I was going to say, if we find another Wasteland, I'm happy just to keep the Wastelands going. Really want to turn off Animate Dead. Okay. Alright. Cast the once. Okay, nothing great. I don't mind the Ramunap. And I think here I'm actually happy to kind of go for it by playing the Noble, not holding up the Dismember. I feel like we can race a Grief. But we can't really beat like a Trax or Archon. Yeah. Okay. We can hope. Yeah. Karakas, maybe? But even then, it's... yeah. Okay. I like the Surgicals. Vexing, Haywire. We do get some cool stuff. Probably these 8. This isn't really a Teeg matchup. Liberator. Shuko happy to take out. Ramunap is fine, but I kind of like Renegade Rallier just a little bit better. Oof can come out. I don't mind taking out the Stoneforges. Keeping it just the Spur and the Boots. Yeah, very true. That's a great example of why they just play the full 4. I think it's honestly just a Nadu. Oh, the Veils. No! Oh, good. I still like Thalia on the play. I could see Knight going down. Oh no. Oh no, what happened there? The Veils are in the board. Alright. Yes. Okay. That's pretty tough. The Veils yeah. Veils are obviously quite good, especially on the play. Savannah. Noble. I think turn 1 Ponder is the best thing we can hope for. Okay. I like that it kind of looks like we're holding up. Endurance. Okay, that's fine. Play Scryb. Happy to swords this. They didn't have a daze last turn. Maybe we can try to Nadu here. Drop. It's kind of tough because I feel like Nadu sometimes is like, oh, let's Nadu, but Nadu isn't the best thing to do. It's just the funnest thing to do. All right. Untap this. Return this. Okay. Yeah, the Karakas is very cool. I mean, that happened again, which is pretty nuts. They shuffled. Okay. Alright, let's float green. Untap, return, trigger. Purge is pretty sweet. Hmm. One, two, untap, return, trigger. Play the ooze. Waste this. Attack with Nadu. Hey Cal Smith, welcome. Very cool to see you. Very much appreciate the latest episode of the Eternal Glory podcast, the #1 legacy podcast out there. Hope you're doing well. Glad to see you're enjoying a lot of the MH3 cards that aren't kind of the big mainstays like Eldrazi, which is very underrated, I feel. I know Max has been really enjoying it. Twitter is a little bit all over it now. Yeah, they just said a little bit too fair, and yeah, that's good for us. We do get to bring these veils in, which is nice. But sideboarding's going to be interesting. Maybe Bauble on the draw. What's it really hitting? Force and Daze? I mean, it does hit Surgical, which is pretty big. Maybe Bauble on the draw just isn't where we want to be. I mean, Veil on the draw isn't great either, but I feel like it's a little bit better. Yeah, maybe it's the One Night. That's what we were talking about. Rallier is... yeah. Rallier is pretty interesting. Like, what are we really getting back? It's really the Wastelands. Sometimes maybe an Ooze, but... maybe Ramunap is actually better than Rallier. Much of a muchness. Would love to be able to just have a veil in the opener and not get hit too hard early on. This is a tough one because the mana's decent, but it doesn't have a great way to stop their broken starts. I feel like if the game goes long, we're doing okay, but I really want to have a hand that answers there early. This kind of does it with the Sword and Path. It's a little bit awkward because Scryb Ranger does nothing. And Wasteland on the Canopy is pretty bad for us as well, but maybe this is where we kind of have to be. No. I think it's just a little bit awkward because, like, worst case is grief. They take swords, reanimate, take this, pass. So I think we just go down to something like, yeah, keep this, bottom the Dryad Arbor, and probably the once. Let's have a quick think here. It could be the boots. I don't mind this. Okay. Typically this means troll, but that is fine. Interesting. Karakas, welcome. Yeah, I should change up the music, to be fair. There's like 3 playlists that I typically play from Harris Heller, aka the creator of Stream Beats. Ah, the old one-lander. Okay. We can pounce on this. Thalia would actually be really nice off this once. I kind of like the Ramunap. Really puts pressure on their mana. But if they don't have lands, they might have forces, and they might feel like they just have to force any sort of spell that comes down. Okay. I think here I'm happy to play the Canopy. This way we can potentially double draw if they don't. See, they didn't even discard like a big fatty to get in off like a reanimate. We know Wasteland's coming from Ramunap here, which is nice. I mean, there's a world where you surgical the underground seas, but I think that's a bit aggressive. Wow. Play Wasteland. Wasteland this. Yeah, like surgical on sea is good content. Righto, you heard it here first. But if they GG me in chat, okay. Oh, they drew one. Oh, they drew it. That's a tough one. Island, swamp. In that case, we are happy to draw the Hierarch, Canopy, draw, see if we can find Thalia. No, it's fine. Play Hierarch, attack. Look, they do have like swamp into push and then go from there. Canopy, draw, purge is pretty sweet. You haven't even seen my villain arc just yet. Do you know what the funny thing is? I might have to go to clean up here. But not for the wrong things. Yeah, we're not doing anything here. I'm discarding lands. That's stupid. No, there we go. Oh, yes. Enjoy, we go ahead. Nice. So we pretty much finished 3-2, although officially 1-4. The deck. Look, the deck was fun. Let's bring it back. We got pretty dumpstered by the actual Nadu decks, which is going to happen. Let's bring this over here. Like, obviously this deck does take... Nadu takes some slots. So if you look, we have the Nadus where you kind of put the Stoneforges in that route. Like these here, I would say are is like the 8 where you've kind of taken it away from Mav and you've added in Nadu because it, you know, being able to Green Suns for it's great. Stoneforge is fine in the deck. Urza Saga makes sense, it's just a one of, but it's going to be pretty tough. See you, Cal. All the best. Have a great week. Looking forward to the next episode of Everyday Eternal. Yeah, it definitely felt like the weaker Nadu deck. It felt like a deck that plays Nadu, not a Nadu deck, if that makes sense. We did get up against High Tide, but I kind of want the third Thalia. I know that Achilles has been back on 3 Thalias recently and has been enjoying it, so potentially there's a world where the extra Thalia's there. I wasn't too sure on the Dismember, but I feel like just having a 5th removal piece is pretty good right now, especially with the decks that play Psychic Frog. Really want to have an early answer to that as well. So I think that was pretty cool. But yeah, I feel like against the Grief decks, you do just want Leyline, and Surgical just isn't good enough, especially against the Grief lines. So that's where it can be a little bit rough playing BANT over Abzan, which I typically enjoy because you can just hard cast the Leylines later on. But obviously with BANT, if you don't have them in your opening hand, they are kind of just dead off the top, so that's pretty tough. Yeah, it's very true. Thalia is doing a lot better without as much Orc around, which is kind of nice. Yeah, I think that the deck has legs. I think, like, I do like the thought of Nadu as just a value piece, but I think because of the power of it, it's not wrong, but it's so much better in a dedicated Nadu deck. Like when you can go off with Force backup or Daze backup or have the Brainstorms and Ponders to either get more cards towards the combo or stray away from it and play like the more mid-rangey plan. With Mav, you do have some control with Green Suns and Once Upon a Time, but otherwise, you know, if you're drawing into the Shuko but no Nadu, it's not the greatest. It's not the greatest card to be drawing into, but that's all good. That's me. It's 11:20. I'm gonna go to bed. A big thank you very much. A big thank you very much. Thank you all for coming and watching. I'm gonna quickly see who else is streaming. Looks like Raphael Levy's doing a debrief of their Pro Tour, which is cool. But hey, a huge thank you to you all. Obviously 2-3, not the record you want. It's 2 2-3s in a row, which is pretty poor, but I'll be back. I promise. I'll do better. Enjoy. And we will... I did just raid, right? I can raid here somewhere. Anyway, all the best. We'll catch you next time.